2. Okay, I think we're good to go. We're good to go now. All is well. From the studios of iHeartMedia and Entertainment here in San Diego, California, Garden America is back on the air. Good morning. I'm Brian Main. John Begnasco, Tiger Palafox. Got the audio situated, Tiger. We are good to go. So a little glitch coming out of the gate, but right away Tiger, I should say, fixed it. Let's go to Tiger. Tiger,
hey,
what happened?
At least I was paying attention.
That was good, right?
Well, it was just a weird thing. I'm sitting there, and there was no audio, and then I just made a little take out the plug and plug it back in, and then it started working again.
Jiggle it or take out the plug and plug it back in
But normally, I'm not even paying attention to that, and we talk for 5 minutes, and then people over the air say, hey, we can't hear you.
Well, I forgot to start the computer. How's that? So for those on Biz Talk Radio, good morning. Welcome to Garden America. We are back in studio. Facebook Live, Biz Talk Radio, 2 things going on simultaneously. So for those on Biz Talk Radio, welcome. This is a pre-recorded show from last week. Not a great way to start the show. We stumbled coming out of the gate. If this was a horse race, our horses would have stumbled.
I think we would have gone backwards in the gate. You know when you're watching a horse race and then there's that one horse still just sitting there?
That's
and
us.
Everybody else is gone?
That was us this morning. Welcome, Facebook Live. A lot going on today. No guest. Actually, we are the guests. The 3 of us today are the guests.
I think that's one of the big reasons why we stumbled out of the gate, because we have a lot of beautiful plants in studio with us today that we're going to talk about, because, it's that time of year when you're looking for inspiration, looking for color, looking for something different. And so I went to the nursery this morning, perused the aisles, and come up with a couple things.
And we're getting some good feedback already from our viewers on Facebook Live, checking out the wonderful colors.
What about our listeners on the radio that can't see this?
Well, they can imagine.
Yeah,
so what we're going to have you do, John, is describe everything in detail.
Well, do they have to imagine? Can't they just go to our website?
Well, here's what they can do, because it might be a little late now for those on Biz Talk Radio, since this is a pre-recorded show.
Right.
What they can do, though, this afternoon or anytime, is go to our YouTube channel, Garden America Radio Show, and watch the replay. And right there are the plants in living color.
Yeah.
Just like NBC.
Or just as if they were here with us.
Garden America Radio Show on Facebook also.
Yes,
right?
and there's a link that will take you to, if you can go to our Facebook page
and
if
watch
you want to.
Right from there.
And watch.
Yeah. There's just so many options.
Well, the thing is, if
really too many options.
If you go to Facebook, you're going to see 3 or 4 minutes of us just kind of sitting around before the show starts. If you go to the YouTube channel, it starts right away. It depends on what you want.
Depends on what you prefer.
What do you prefer?
All we're saying is that there are lots of options.
Yes.
But one of the things I mentioned a while back when I was on my soapbox during the show was how people needed, in my eyes, to kind of look towards other things besides poinsettias during the holidays for some of their color. And I had mentioned Cyclamen. So I brought in some Cyclamen here in studio with us today. And for those people that don't know what Cyclamen look like, they're a small plant that gets maybe, what, John, a foot tall at the most? Like the big varieties can get...
Oh, at the most, yeah.
A foot tall.
Brian, it's Cyclamen, too. You thought that this was
Cyclamates?
Yeah, you thought it was a band sweetener, and it's not.
Yeah.
This is a plant that we're talking
Fresca.
about.
What?
Well, Fresca, it's a drink, used to have cyclamates in it. It was like an artificial sweetener back in the day.
Is that what really he was talking about?
And they discovered that it causes all kinds of diseases and problems, right?
Yeah.
In lab rats. So I say don't give it to the lab rats then. Let other people drink it.
I was my wife
goodness,
had a holiday party for work, and people. I think there were about 30 people that came to our house for this Christmas party, and I was talking to a couple of the people and was telling them about our radio show because they didn't know it, and they mentioned that Mission Hills Nursery was one of their favorite nurseries.
Ooh.
But they didn't know about Kate Sessions being the
Really?
founder, yeah.
Oh.
So I told them that whole story, and they said, oh, yeah, we love gardening. And they mentioned John Clements.
Oh, yeah.
And how one of the highlights of their gardening career was getting to meet him. And the reason I mentioned
It's
it
because
is
he's tuned in right now,
I
isn't
see
he?
that John's joining us from the San Diego Botanic Garden. So they're going to listen to the show today just because
Of John?
we knew John Clements.
Thanks, John.
So now we have to represent very
That's
well.
right.
don't
We have another listener.
I wonder if John's listening. I'm wondering, does the Botanical Garden still have their light show going on? One of the cool things they do during the holidays is they invite a company to come in, and they really, do up the botanical garden with lights and, make it look a lot more different than when you go during the day. And it's always kind of neat to be able to kind of go and see that. So I don't know if that's still happening or if that's already done. But if it's still happening, definitely worth the visit to the botanical gardens in the evening for that event.
Back to the Cyclamen.
Yes.
It's easy to get off track here. One of the things I wanted to mention on Cyclamen is they are not houseplants.
Yeah, right.
You cannot keep them indoors. They fall apart right away. If you want one indoors because of the holiday season, at least put it out at night, right? If you put it outside at night.
Put it in your refrigerator. No. Yeah, exactly. If you can put it out during the evenings, that'll help, like on your patio or something like that. That'll help keep it, because they flop over right away inside.
Right.
And it's not a matter of overwatering or underwatering.
Right.
It's just they do not like the mild temperatures being inside like that.
So light has...
They do like a bright light too.
Yeah.
But the main thing is the warm temperatures. They really like cool temperatures. I was mentioning the tiger before we went on air that we saw them growing native in the Julian Alps in Slovenia. And they were the small ones, little dwarf ones that were really fragrant. You usually don't think of them as being fragrant because the large flowered ones, for the most part, were not fragrant. I think some of the new hybrids are. But originally they weren't. But such a powerful fragrance on the small ones.
And I was trying to think of some way to describe the bloom on the Cyclamen, for those of you that don't know what it is. But if you know what a sweet pea looks like, then I feel like it has that winged kind of look like a sweet pea bloom. It does as well. Do you have any description for the bloom, John?
Kind of looks like a parachute to me.
Parachute?
There's that one Cyclamen, maybe you remember the name because you're up on all the new hybrids, but there's that one that looks really unusual from the top when you look at it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
We had it in last year. I can't remember what it's called. I'll find out. I'll find out during the show, and I'll definitely post that one.
Yeah,
that
I
was
really like
neat.
this.
Yeah.
By the way, John mentions that the San Diego Botanic Garden has a spectacular light show.
Okay, and it's happening now?
It's through January 1st.
Oh, go. If you're here in San Diego and you have a chance, go. It is amazing.
Called Lightscapes.
That's cool.
And it's spectacular.
Spectacular. I was watching a Dennis the Menace holiday movie with my kids last night, and Dennis had used the word majestic, and Mr. Wilson's like, "Do you even know what that word means?" Kind of a thing, and it was just when we just mentioned that word, I just meant majestic.
Flashback to Dennis the Menace.
Majestic.
I think I mentioned this before, but when my son Jesse was late teens, maybe. He wasn't always the sharpest student in school, but he was always a great kid, and there was something that required a lot of effort, and he just kept after it, and he finished it up and came and told me, and I was really surprised, and I said, "I can't believe you did that. That took a lot of effort." He goes, "Yeah, I'm indefatigable."
I'm indefatigable?
Really? So I ran to the computer. What the heck does that mean?
That's great. That's great. Not the sharpest kid, but by golly, we love him.
Yeah.
We just like having him around. Mine in school was, he just doesn't live up to his potential. So much potential, but he just won't use it.
Well, at
That's what
least
they
you
say
had
about
the
you?
potential.
Had the potential to be potential.
Yeah?
I got by.
I got by.
And I ended up on a garden show with you guys.
Yeah, exactly. Saturday mornings here.
Oh, that's exceeding expectations.
I guess so, right?
Yeah.
We got about a minute till our first break. So what are we going to do today, guys? Let's set the table.
One thing I'd like our listeners to do is to, if you're on Facebook, let us know what you're getting for Christmas. Because we have a spectacular Christmas gift idea for you.
Okay.
That we'll tell you about when we come back.
And you know what we should also do maybe is encourage people to take pictures of their house and how they've decorated their house, their yard, the lights, so on and so forth. Why not?
Good idea.
Yeah.
You can put it in the newsletter.
John at gardenamerica.com, by the way. Dana says we look and sound good, so there's the official announcement that the video and audio are up to par this morning. So yes, it is break time here on Garden America. Thank you for tuning in. Those on Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live, Brian Main, John Bagnasco, Tiger Palafox. Stay with us. Happy holiday season, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah. We are here in December. It is Garden America. Back after these messages on Biz Talk Radio. All righty, we are back from the break. Thank you for tuning in and supporting our sponsors on Biz Talk Radio. Special shout-out, John, to Ron, who's in India on Facebook, says,
Wow.
have a great show. All
I wonder
right.
what the weather. India would be warm this time of year, right?
Think so. Ron, what's the weather like,
Depends where
Ron?
you are.
And what time is it? It's 8:17 in the morning here.
What day is it? Is it tomorrow in India? I don't know.
And Kevin says, good morning. Looking for some great gift ideas. My buddy Kevin in Coeur d'Alene,
I think
Idaho.
Kevin
You posted a picture.
had a picture in the newsletter of
Right.
Coeur d'Alene this time of year,
Kevin, you made the newsletter, buddy.
full of snow.
First
yeah,
snow
I
of
was
the
in
year.
Boise during the week, and actually Meridian, where my daughter lives, and they were having a heat wave because it was in the 50s, and it was very pleasant. But
Heat wave.
but
In the 50s, right?
but Coeur d'Alene is much colder because that's all the way at the top of the state, and I've got to get there sometime. It's one of the places we want to visit.
Kevin's going to Costa Rica with us.
He is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that'll be fun. We're looking forward to it. And that, Brian,
Yes, John.
was my garden gift idea.
Costa Rica. What a great segue.
Wouldn't that be a great Christmas present for someone? You
Sure.
always see the big bows on a car sitting in the driveway.
How about a big bow on a tickets that somebody purchased for you, right?
Yeah, join us. We still have a few seats open, and we'd love you to join us in Costa Rica on
April 21st through the 29th.
Oh, okay. I thought it was the 20th through the 29th.
Well, that's the day before. That's the day you get ready.
Oh, I see.
And Ron says it's 9:50 on Saturday night and quite warm. So, John, you were right.
Ah,
It's 9:50 on Saturday evening, and it's quite warm. See that they can say that's a heat wave.
You know
Can
what?
You say it's a heat wave when it's 50 degrees.
So that's 12, 13 hours ahead of us right now,
do you know,
roughly speaking.
if it was 50 at Kevin's house in Coeur d'Alene, he would say it was a heat wave. So anyway,
cold.
yeah.
Yes, Costa Rica, great gift
You-
idea, John.
Right. You can go to gardenamerica.com and click on for the itinerary. You can see where we're going. Tiger's going to be giving surfing lessons while we're there.
Yep.
In Spanish.
Yeah.
Oh.
In Spanish.
The one thing I know a lot of times you have one spouse who's a gardener and the other one who's not.
And the other one who just enjoys what you do. Maybe,
Right.
sometimes.
A lot of different people.
Okay.
That usually it's opposites that attract. At a party, I was thinking the other night, there's always two kinds of people at a party. There's the ones who want to be there and the ones who don't want to be there. They just want to go home.
Mm-hmm.
And usually they're married to each other.
Yeah, that's true.
So where was I?
Anyway, wrapping up, if you want to go to Costa Rica with us, go to gardenamerica.com.
Yeah,
sign up.
right. And what I was going to say was it's not a garden tour where every day is gardens.
No.
You can enjoy it if you hate gardening.
Yeah.
We won't talk to you, but I'm sure there's someone who will.
But there's something
But
to
there's
do.
a lot to do besides just stare
That's
at
right.
plants.
Now let me ask
And you signed up for zip lining, right?
zip lining.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, Tiger, the month of April in Costa Rica, what's the weather like? How should people dress? What should they bring? Combination of long sleeve, short pants?
No, I mean, it's going to be nice, mild. I think, highs of 80, lows of 70 kind of a thing.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be just nice weather. And it won't be their wet season, so it'll be kind of dry, meaning, for them it's kind of dry, but, they still get every once in a while chances of rain. And, yeah, shorts, T-shirts.
Yeah. Our webmaster, Daniel, posted a link to sign
Oh.
up for the trip to Costa Rica. It takes you right to gardenamerica.com, and the link to the trip to Colette Travel. Costa Rica is right there. So As John said, great gift idea for yourself or maybe somebody you know, friends or family. We'd love to see you. Love to hang out with you for about 10 days. That's what we're looking forward to do, John.
And it's not that expensive. I think it's only $1,900, the land price of the trip. Mm-hmm. And if you've got your own airfare, you can do that, or you can get airfare through Colette, and they'll come to the door, pick you up, take you to the airport.
Kevin says he wants to get his wife a new trowel for Christmas,
Yeah.
but forgot which one that we recommended. Any ideas? A good trowel.
Just in general, I mean, there's a lot of good trowels out there. I don't know if there was one that we recommended per se in the past.
The only thing I remember was that gardening tool, which I think I ended up getting for Father's Day. My daughter bought me. It was the one that I think it might have even been John Clements that recommended.
That had the serrated side and all of that? Or
No, it had a little hook on it. It was like a Cape Cod hoe.
Cobra had one? Or no, different
No. It looked like that, Tiger.
a hook. It
Yeah.
looked like a hook.
Yeah, and that was my favorite gardening tool.
Yeah.
Someone will remember the name of
I
it.
will say the one thing about a trowel that I do recommend, whatever trowel you pick, and this might get me into a little bit of trouble out there, but I always like the trowels that are the trowel part, the scoop part, and the handle are all the same piece of metal. Meaning,
I know, it's
like
all
Corona,
connected. It's all one piece.
Yeah, Corona produces a trowel, and all they do is take the same piece of metal, it's all one piece, and they put a rubber grip on the handle. And the nice thing about that is it's nice and sturdy and strong, and you can dig, you can pry, you can use it, with good force. The one trowels that are always like the scoop
piece?
the scoop part is metal, and then it goes into a plastic handle or something else. They end up usually breaking right there at that point. So if you want a good one, you want to look for that where it's a piece of metal all the way through into the handle.
My son got me a great trowel for my birthday, but you have to plug it in. It's it's like the ones you guys use to plant the plants at my house.
Oh yeah, the jackhammer one.
Yeah.
I thought this was going to be a trial and error joke.
A trowel and error.
That's right. That's where I thought you were going.
That's good.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to give somebody something really useful and they live in an area that their dirt is hard, so one of the things we use when landscaping is a 30-pound breaker. It's a small jackhammer, and we put a clay spade on it, and we use that to dig all the holes because we deal with such hard soil here in Southern California. But for someone that maybe isn't needing that, they sell a smaller like roto hammers, and you can attach a clay spade bit to it as well. And that would be wonderful for a homeowner to have if they're digging holes,
right?
Because they, John, I mean, yours is the 30-pound breaker. You got the bigger one, right? But you can have a smaller one too, and it would probably still help you out a lot, even if you're doing small little plants. So
the original one I had was, I think it weighed like 50 pounds or something.
Yeah.
But the smaller one has got the little spade on the end of it.
Perfect, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really
light enough for you to handle, but saves you from having to use a pick and a digging bar and all that.
You want to get to that question, or do you want? We need to take a break, but the same one I'm looking at.
Did we do
the one about
yet?
keeping Christmas cactus from blooming early.
And
yes.
then we have to get to the quote of the week.
As well. Forgot about that.
When we return from these messages on Biz Talk Radio, the rest of us on Facebook Live, going to be a much quicker break, so thank you for tuning in. Stay with us. It is Garden America. Happy weekend into the holiday season, no doubt about it. Tiger Palafox, John Bagnesco, I'm Brian Main. Back after these proverbial messages on Biz Talk Radio. Stay with us. Once again, back from the break. Thank you for joining us. Broadcasting live from the iHeartMedia and Entertainment Studios. Lovely, gorgeous San Diego, Southern California. Brian Main, John Bagnesco, Tiger Palafox. Garden America, we've got the quote of the week, I should say. And then what else were we going to do? The quote of the week and answer the question. That's right.
Right. What order?
Quote of the week, first of all.
All right. The quote of the week is, when I was a kid, Toronto streets were deserted and quiet on Sundays, except for the sound of church bells. I stood on the sidewalk one December listening to the Christmas bells, and I've never forgotten that moment. And that was from John J. Geddes. And there's a couple reasons I posted that. One is because the newsletter is kind of dedicated to bells. And I apologize for the dark title, Harmonies of Horror, on a Christmas newsletter. But I wasn't even thinking at the time that might not be as festive as it should be. But it's about Edgar Allan Poe's poem, The Bells.
Yeah. He was
always a
dark
bright guy. He was always a joyful guy, right?
Yeah, really happy.
Yeah. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary. Anyway, John Geddes, I thought you would like because he's an author, but he was, I think it was the Toronto hockey team.
The Maple Leafs?
That he went to a school where they trained in Toronto, and he became a hockey player. And I don't know if he ever. I don't know if he ever.
What year are we talking? Circa what?
Oh, this not that long ago. Maybe 10 years ago.
Oh, really?
Maybe 20.
Okay.
You know what's so funny is that, you mentioned that, and Brian doesn't have any clue about any of that backstory, right?
No.
Right.
And we do know that Brian played and likes hockey, but nonetheless, look at what he's wearing today.
Oh, yeah. Representing the NHL.
Fully hockeyed out today with the NHL hat, the Bruins
This is such a
sweater.
comfortable hoodie.
Maybe deep down inside your mind, you knew that story.
I knew that it was going to be in the newsletter.
Exactly.
I somehow knew the background.
And you
that
dressed for the occasion.
Exactly.
And dressed for the occasion of somebody that was involved in, 10, 20 years ago, John?
Yeah.
But it could have been 30 years ago. I have a feeling this guy might be my age. But anyway, he went on to get several PhDs in philosophy and religions, and I think I can't remember what his church affiliation was while he was doing that, but then he became an evangelical Christian.
Yeah.
So, and he's written 2 books. So, John J. Geddes, if you want to look it up, or Geddes, Geddes. Anyway, that was a bells.
That was a long
That's
way
right.
And now addressing the question.
of bells. Yes.
Also, need a warning in the newsletter is that folk singer Phil Oakes put Edgar Allan Poe's
Poems.
poem to music. And there's a link in the newsletter, but if you don't like folk music, it's a warning. Don't click on that link.
Well, John, you recall the folk scare era from the early 60s, right?
That's probably my favorite type of music is folk music.
Folk music.
Yeah.
Kingston Trio, Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Not really Kingston
Rooftop
Trio,
Singers.
because I could never picture the Kingston Trio throwing a Molotov cocktail. So not quite the Kingston Trio, but a little later.
Where are we going
Yeah.
with this show
What
this
is
morning?
happening right
We
now?
are going to tell John how
How to
to
keep
his
blooming,
Christmas
right?
cactus from blooming too early.
Right.
Some burgera.
The problem, and this was in the newsletter, I think maybe 3 or 4 weeks
A few
ago.
weeks back, yeah.
But there's I would say virtually all, maybe not all, but let's say 80% of the Christmas cactus that are sold in stores are Thanksgiving cactus.
Mm-hmm.
And they bloom at Thanksgiving. That's their peak bloom.
Yeah.
And they're usually petered out by the time Christmas comes around. So if you want a Christmas cactus to be blooming at Christmas, you really need to get a Christmas cactus. And the way you can tell quickly is just by looking at the leaf segments. If they've got the points on them, do you have one there, Tiger?
I got one. I'm going to put the camera on so we can talk
Okay.
about it as you're going.
As you speak, John will do the voiceover.
Okay.
Yeah, and the points that are on there will tell you it's a Thanksgiving cactus. If those are rounded on the leaf segments, it's a Christmas cactus. and will bloom longer. Now, that being said, there are also some Thanksgiving cactus that they do get to bloom a little later, and the one that Tiger has right there is got some buds just opening up. So it looks like that one might be in bloom for Christmas.
Yeah, and I mean,
hard
that
to
really
tell.
comes down to the growers a lot of
Another
times,
couple
right?
of weeks.
Well, so there's ways that growers can kind of
Time it.
time it out
Yeah.
because they control the environment they're in. They can't time it out perfectly, but like John mentioned, if you want one really for Christmas, you need to look for the ones with the rounded leaves, because these ones will go out of bloom sooner. But then the problem with the Christmas ones is they really don't start until Christmas. So a lot of times you might not have a flower for Christmas.
But they'll have buds on them.
They'll have buds on them, and you're really not getting a flower
So
until
it's a New
it's
Year.
a New Year's cactus.
a New
Right.
Year
They're
cactus.
giving it as a gift to a party they're going to on the 22nd.
Yeah.
So even the one that you have, which has got all the buds ready to open, maybe by the time the 22nd comes along, could be
Could
bloomed
still
out.
be, yeah, exactly. So,
One thing to do is make sure that it doesn't stay in the house where it's too warm. If you can put it out on a covered patio and leave it out in cool weather, as long as you're not in an area that freezes, but nighttime temperatures down in the 40s and 50s will keep it fresher.
yeah, and they're lovely plants to keep in patios or in
Very nice.
areas
I love the
because
colors.
even during the rest of the year, the green foliage, easy to maintain, low water. It's a neat looking plant too. They cascade over, meaning they drape, and the foliage is different. I mean, I think what's the other kind of common name? Crab claw plant or crab plant they call it because of the different
Crab cactus.
crab cactus.
Yeah, crab claw cactus, I think.
Yeah.
Lobster claw.
Is that they call them something like that because it's the way that the leaves or the
But that's one of
branches
those
look.
uncommon names.
Yeah. Uncommon common?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like impatience. Everybody calls them impatience, but down south they call them busy Lizzie.
Busy.
I mean, nobody. Who's
Fran-
going to call her busy
Or
Lizzie?
frangipanis?
Busy Lizzie.
Frangipani? Do you know what a frangipani
Yeah.
is, Brian?
Yeah, I've heard the name.
Do you know what it is, though?
No.
Plumeria.
That's what, really?
Yeah.
Frangipani.
Um,
That's a funny name, right?
Frangipani. I'm hoping
especially the way you say it.
I
Well, how
hope
do
I
you
can
say it?
remember that this afternoon.
How do you
how
say
does
it?
how does the frangipani look out
Isn't
there?
it just frangipani?
Is it?
I like
I
frangia.
I thought it was
I don't know.
frangia.
Frangipani.
Frangipani.
Anyway, our one of our good faithful listeners, Sue, came up with the correct name on the tool. It's a Kanaho.
Conaho.
Yeah, Kanahoe.
That's a place we stayed in Hawaii, wasn't it?
Yeah, right? That's the place. No, that's the place we go down on Shelter Island and get
Oh,
the
that's-
Mai Tais.
That's right, the Conaho.
Oh, that also reminds me, as I've been in Idaho, so I did not respond to an email that I got from Carla, but she sent me almost a day-by-day itinerary of what to do
What she did?
when I go to Kona.
Ooh.
Yeah, so thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that.
And what
E-
she's now your travel agent, I assume, right?
Well, I'm going to even look into the condo where they stayed because the way she described it, it sounds really nice. I think it was an Airbnb, so I'm going to look that up. But I really do appreciate that. She even told me where to get the good malasadas, and
And this is Kona, the island of Kona?
the Kona's on the Big Island. It's a city on the Big Island of Hawaii. So, and then Jesse and I are still hoping to fly from there to Molokai and take the donkeys down the seaside cliffs. Might not happen, but Shannon already said she's going to be laying on the beach that day. She's not coming with us, but Jesse and I might do it.
Well, I think we're caught up, right?
I think so.
Oh, no, wait a second. Somebody wanted to know about, Millie, what kind of fertilizer is good for Christmas cactus?
Oh.
You can use any type.
Any water soluble usually.
Yeah,
Because-
just not real high nitrogen. Use something. They do have what's the cactus fertilizer called?
Cactus juice.
Cactus juice. You can use that.
It's kind of a low water soluble, low number fertilizer you can't go wrong with. Because a lot of times when you're using those water solubles on cactus, you just dilute it more.
Yeah.
if they tell you to mix, a tablespoon with a gallon of water, you mix a tablespoon with 2 gallons of water.
We're flying right by. We've got a break coming up, so let's do that. One more segment coming up if you're tuned in on Biz Talk Radio with hour number 1. So again, whatever's on your mind, those on Facebook Live, keep the questions, the comments coming as we continue. And this break, after we come back, more of Garden America as we take a listen to these fantastic and incredibly entertaining messages on Biz Talk Radio. All righty, those on Biz Talk Radio, final segment of our number 1. News coming up top of the hour. We come back for your hour number 2 at 6 minutes after. And again, a reminder for those that are tuned in on Biz Talk Radio, want to watch this show live, and especially today with all the great plants that we have in studio, go to our Facebook page, Garden America Radio Show. We kick things off at 8 o'clock on the West Coast, 11 o'clock, 11:06 thereabouts, Eastern Time Zone, and everywhere else in between, Mountain, Central, etc., John.
Tanya says that her grandmother fed her Christmas cactus with fish fertilizer, fish emulsion, and
don't forget the PU.
And then puts PU.
Yes.
But I was going to mention the same thing, that like a liquid kelp would not smell as bad. Mm-hmm. Fish fertilizer would be good too, but I would only do that if it was outdoors, not indoors.
And not near your...
And Brian, you would not recommend using Biosol, right?
That's a great story.
Yeah.
Came home one day
in the house.
I thought a rodent died. I'm looking for dead rats, mice, and it's the Biosol that I used on the whatever plant it was at the time. Yeah, that's good advice. Do not do that.
Yeah, Biosol is probably the worst smelling fertilizer I can imagine.
Yeah. What is it? What's it made of? What do they grind up in that Biosol?
It's a byproduct of the penicillin industry, and it's the substrate that penicillin grows on. It's usually a mixture of cottonseed meal and soy meal and stuff like that. But it's really good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, healthy as heck.
So another plant that we have down in our group of plants is the ornamental kales. So, during this time of year, there's ornamental cabbage, ornamental kale.
We saw those in Idaho, and my wife fell in immediate love with them.
For those people that haven't seen them, they look like a cabbage or kale plant, usually with a white or purple kind of foliage with green on it.
A lot more color.
But a lot brighter, a lot more vibrant, and they last through the winter. They love the cold this time of year. And because of that, they give you color when normally you don't have a lot of color, and a little bit contrast, and it's not a flower, it's a foliage. You can get different, kinds of foliage out of the cabbage and kales. And so it's great during this time of year to incorporate in pots or into the landscape if you're planting and you're looking for some color as well. Just something a little different.
Now, they'll take even some freezing temperatures and still be fine.
Which is why I'm sure it looks so good in Idaho, right? Yeah. This time of year?
Yeah, because they were getting below freezing at night, but then it would warm up during the day. The difference between the two, the ornamental cabbage has got rounded leaves, and the kale's got the fringe leaves. And then I think there's a lot more types of kale.
Yeah.
There's that peacock kale.
Yep.
That it's got a whole different kind of leaf.
Yeah.
But anyway,
my
wife likes those.
Also, I wouldn't recommend eating them. They're not. They are edible, but they're not exactly flavorful like normal cabbage and kale. But at the same time, they can act as a great garnish. Meaning if you are trying to decorate your holiday plates while you're serving plates or platters or anything like that.
And then if you would accidentally eat it, you're still fine.
You're still fine.
You're okay.
Yeah. And then pansies are also another great flower for planting and having those accents for those holiday plates. I've even seen, you mentioned, what was it, jingle juice at your party this past week, holiday beverages. But I've seen people take those big, jugs for what they serve drinks in, or just different waters or whatever. And then they'll put pansies, flowers just floating around in there. And it looks a little different, little unique. So Pansies are another good one for adding to any kind of
Add some
decor.
color to your liquid.
I was going to show you the desserts that someone brought to our holiday party because they were stuck in a with a kale base
Oh,
in the
really?
bottom. But these were the coolest desserts that I think I'd ever seen.
They're fruit.
It's fruit, right?
They're like little toothpicks, but it's like a blueberry, a strawberry. Is that a marshmallow?
Yeah.
And then banana and pineapple. And,
They look like little Santa Claus hats sitting on top.
Yeah.
They're the big,
Little
not
snowmen.
toothpick size, but the bigger ones.
yeah, it looks like a little Santa
Show
Claus
Brian.
hat on like a snowman.
Aren't those
with
cool?
fruit.
I don't even. I just want to look at it. I don't want to eat it.
You know, I ate 4 of them, but they were
Didn't
really
feel
fun.
bad at all.
No,
Yeah.
someone was creative to do that. But basically, they cut a banana, stuck one of those marshmallow sticks through the center of it, then put a little piece of marshmallow, and then on top of that, a strawberry, and on top of the strawberry, a blueberry. And it looked like Santa Claus wearing a little hat. You put a little face on it.
That's great.
Fun times this time of year.
Yeah, probably didn't do a good job of describing that for anyone who wants to make those.
And we didn't get to see the picture on your iPhone, just Tiger and myself. So use your imagination.
Yeah.
Well, Tiger,
That's even funny.
You
more
can
fun,
you
right?
can post that.
yeah, well, Tiger can also put it
it on
up.
the camera.
The camera's on
Yeah.
him right now.
Yeah.
There you go, Tiger.
Let's see if we can get a good shot of that. Oh, that should be all right.
We'll see.
Oh yeah,
There you
looks
go.
good.
Boom.
He's jiggling it a little, but that's all right.
Oh,
At least if you're online,
I was making it
You can
dance
see.
and move.
Yeah, coming to life.
Yeah, exactly. This is video. This isn't a still photo.
Oh, we got a question from Tanya. Will they take afternoon sun
The ornamental kale.
I think.
Bill?
or the Christmas
Does she
cactus?
mean that or the Christmas cactus? Because
I think Christmas cactus.
if it's kale, yes.
Yes.
If it's Christmas cactus, they really prefer filtered light.
And if it's the
not like-
cyclamen, yes.
Right. But the Christmas cactus are epiphytes and they grow in trees. They don't grow out in the open in the ground. So because of that, anything that's epiphytic is usually going to prefer partial shade.
Yeah. Like
Not
filtered
always,
for sure.
but usually.
Next time somebody offers you something,
And
say,
now that we explained that, she says kale. Yes, kale will take full sun with no problem.
next time somebody offers you food, say no, thank you. I'm epiphytic.
What does that have to do with anything?
You're going to just latch on to someone
Yeah.
else and take their food?
Just because they won't know what you're talking about. It sounds like you have a medical problem. I'm epiphytic.
I think most people
sorry.
just look at you with a question on their face and walk
Or
away.
if they're embarrassed, they'll go, "Oh, I'm sorry."
Usually on the kale and the cabbage, the more sun, the more color to the plant, right, Tiger?
Yeah, exactly. Like when they grow in shade, they don't have the vibrant colors that they do as they grow in the sun.
And they also stretch a little bit, I think.
get leggy.
Yeah.
We got to take a break, guys. Stay on time for our good friends on the network, Biz Talk Radio. You've got news coming up. We are back at 6 minutes after. Hopefully you do carry our show for 1 hour, 2 hours. Anytime you can tune in, we do appreciate it. So again, news coming up. Taking a break. Back after these messages, news, and for those on Facebook Live, coming back a lot quicker here on Garden America. Okay, welcome back to the show. Welcome back to Garden America. Those on Biz Talk Radio, thank you for tuning in. This would be your hour number 2. For the rest of us on Facebook Live, we just keep on cruising right along here with a lot of color in our studio this morning. A lot of plant material dressing up this studio. Everything looks pretty good, guys.
Veronica says, "Aw, so cute." I think she's talking about you, Tiger.
No.
The camera's on you right now. No, she was. I think she was talking about the little fruit sticks.
Fruit
Yeah.
sticks.
Yeah,
Yeah, they are.
I thought they were cute. I don't know why. Sometimes I'll see something new and it just really impresses me, and that was one of them.
And not to say that was simple, but it's always neat when somebody takes something that looks so simple and makes it creative, right? Like, that's really what it comes down to, because you're like, oh, it's strawberries, banana, and marshmallow.
Right.
Why didn't I think of that?
It is simple. Why didn't I think of that?
Very easy.
See, like gingerbread houses are creative, but they're not simple.
No, those are difficult.
Yeah, but this is easy. Joyce wants to know if asparagus fern produce edible asparagus. And that's a good question, because asparagus fern and asparagus are both the same genus.
Mm-hmm.
They're the asparagus genus, but not edible on the ferns. The true asparagus, after the edible one anyway, after you cut the spears, does go ferny during the summer and actually looks
Ferny,
similar.
Ferny, it goes ferny?
Yes, yeah.
Looks very similar to the
Some type of asparagus fern.
Yeah, especially the blooms. You know, there's Springeri and Myri, and Springeri is the controllable foxtail one, and Myri is the one that spreads rampant and is uncontrollable.
It's what you said, but exactly the opposite.
So Springeri is the one that you can't control.
Right.
When that one goes to bloom, the little shoots, it looks exactly like the asparagus plant blossom on it as well.
The Myri is the one that's the common name is foxtail fern.
Foxtail, yeah.
And those are my favorite, really.
Beautiful,
they really look good.
Controllable.
Tanya says
Great
wish she had
plant.
seen the Santas earlier. She's prepping right now for 20 guests today.
Ooh, fun.
There's still time.
Can you imagine trying to bite into that Springeri one? Because they have little thorns on
Oh, yeah. As they get old, when they're little, they don't. But
No.
when the plants get bigger, they're full of thorns.
Yeah,
They're
no
dangerous.
Hey, we haven't talked about
the begonia yet.
one of my favorites that you brought in today.
Yeah.
It looks very prehistoric, almost
turn the
Dr.
camera.
Seussy in a way.
So this is a begonia, and it almost looks plastic. It's got the very kind of
Got
fringy,
the rough leaves.
fringy leaf on it. Let me put this back here.
And on the stalks,
let
it
me-
looks like needles, but it's not. It's just little hairs, right?
Right. And this one is Gertie Comet. Begonia, Gertie Comet. And that one would be good inside, like a partial houseplant kind of a thing.
I really like foliage begonias.
Yeah.
There's so many different kinds. All the cane type begonias and polka dot begonias, and Iron Cross is that one that you have there. Reminds me of Iron Cross, which is the same type of leaf but has an iron cross right on the leaf.
Yeah.
Really?
In the middle of it. Looks really neat. So, just trying to bring in something a little bit different also, especially when you go to a garden center, or if you have a gardener that you're buying a gift for, there's two things you really can't go wrong with buying for them. One is fertilizer, and one is potting soil or soil, right? Because all gardeners need it at some point in time.
Absolutely.
And even if they have it, they're going to use it up, and they're going to need more of it. But maybe if you want to do something a little bit more different, you can find some unique plants.
You buy them something that even they don't know what it is.
Right?
Like, oh, what is this? I've never seen this.
Well, true gardeners are probably going to know.
Yeah.
But
Well,
don't
there's
give
a
them
difference
a red poinsettia.
There's a difference between a true horticulturist gardener or someone who just mows your lawn once or twice a month. Breaks up the leaves,
But yeah, so I mean, if you go into a garden center right now, you're going to find some unique and different stuff that hopefully will pique their inspiration, and you can pick it up for them, and then you give them something new to grow in their patio or in their house or in their landscape. Down at the end there, we have a bromeliad. And I just really like that one because of the foliage. Bromeliads normally have that flower spike coming out of the middle, but this one, the foliage on it just is striking with the stripes and the red and the cream and the green, and it looks fake, but
It does.
But it's really neat. And then the nice thing about bromeliads like that is that those are actually very hardy, and you get all the impact out of the foliage. You don't even need a flower. You can just rely on just the plant itself to be dramatic and kind of pique your interest there. So
I think, John, are you reading a long comment there on Facebook?
Yeah, one of our recent guests, Tiger John Domenici
okay.
from Southland Sod, says that we've got him hooked on listening to our show now.
Oh, well.
We really enjoyed John, and
Yeah.
I got a lot of info since I'm going to be putting in a lawn pretty soon. But
Yeah.
he said it's a little off topic, and it's really not off topic because
This is kind of an open forum today.
right,
Yeah.
yeah. But he wanted to mention it's a great time to, if you're in Southern California, to fertilize the lawn.
Yeah.
And with a fertilizer that releases during the cool temperatures. If it's a fescue type lawn, not if it's St. Augustine or
When it's going dormant.
right, or Bermuda,
Yeah.
because those are going to be dormant. And
And then
and
people
thanks
need to,
for that tip, John.
Yeah,
It's-
Jonathan,
it's
thank
good
you
to
for being
know.
a viewer and listener. We appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, and people need to remember too that fertilizing in the cooler months is also important because the roots are still growing, and there's still a lot of things happening even when the plants maybe not be growing or they go dormant. And then the fertilizers that we often recommend, being organics, they're improving the soil. So you're adding mycorrhizae,
You're feeding your
things-
soil
yes,
as
to the
opposed to the
soil.
plant directly.
And the soil, because we do not, us in Southern California, because we do not live in the frozen tundra, the soil is still very much alive,
Very active.
and working and active. And it's actually a really good time to take care of that soil because this is when the soil naturally stays damp, which is going to provide it life. In the summertime, the soil dries out, kind of goes a little bit dormant unless you're actively watering. But this time of year, when the soil is kept, damp through the next 6 months, it's active. It's, you've got fungus is growing in there. You got life happening, and it's a great time, especially if you have clay, to enhance that soil where it's going to begin to break up the clay, so that way later on your plants can, get into that, better parts of the soil and release nutrients and all that good stuff. So, good tip for sure. Is there something else? I can't
No,
remember.
John commented, though, that you're never too old to learn different gardening skills.
That is true.
I wanted to, Jan up in Brentwood in the Bay Area says she loves Daphne this time of year.
Yeah.
And I had to look it up online because in Southern California, we don't do well with Daphnes because they get water mold in the heat. And I think I mentioned the story several times online where I had a Daphne at my house in Fallbrook, and it was right near a sprinkler, and the sprinkler head was broken, so no water came out of it. And that I had that Daphne there for 4 years, and it bloomed. It was spectacular, and I get around to
fixed the
things
sprinkler.
eventually, so I fixed the sprinkler head, and it was dead in 3 months. So anyway, she mentions that she really likes them, but I had to look up because my favorite Daphne is Briggs Moonlight.
Ooh,
Have you ever seen that?
No.
No.
I'll see if I can show you a picture, or you can
Yeah,
look it up.
yeah.
You've got
Briggs Moonlight.
Briggs Moonlight. It's a variegated Daphne, and it has green leaves with white centers, not pale centers, but white, and it's so pretty. And that would be a great one for Northern California, Briggs Moonlight, or colder areas.
Oh, it's you know what it kind of reminds me of, and I can't tell how big this one gets, but it reminds me of the variegated lavenders, or also sometimes those variegated euphorbias.
I like that one. I forget the name of it now, but that one variegated lavender I really like and would like to get another one. Do you ever carry those?
Yeah. A matter of fact, we had some on the tables when I was looking.
Oh,
earlier.
really?
have plans.
Okay, with that in mind, we're going to take a break. So do stay with us. More fun, more videos, more plans to share, talk about, see, hear, listen. As Garden America continues, John Bagnasco, I'm Brian Main. Tiger Palafox back after these messages from Biz Talk Radio. All right, lights, camera, action. Back in the saddle. Here we go, Garden America. Hope you had a good break, by the way. Those on Biz Talk Radio, those on Facebook Live who watch us during the break can't hear us talking, but I'm sure you'd love to know what we're talking about. Well, we're talking about you.
And what you like.
And what you like, what you're doing. Thank you for being part of the show today. Again, 'tis the season, guys. Tis.
Tiger held up a picture of the Briggs
Right, just
moonlight,
before the break,
and
right?
I was watching, and it did not come across
There's just
well.
a blurry mess.
Well, can
Right.
you post one? Post a picture.
Well, no, I just wanted to let listeners know if you're interested, you can look it up yourself.
Yeah.
And it's Briggs.
Oh, yeah, we are a do-it-yourself show. Good point.
Yeah, Briggs, moonlight is the second part, and it's a Daphne. So if you look that up, you'll see. And on the images, if you're on your phone, you need to
Zoom in.
Zoom in. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
I don't know all these tech terms.
Or as you like to say, get closer.
Yeah, get close.
Hold it closer to your eye.
But now I'm going off topic again. But I spent a lot of time telling jokes with my granddaughter, and one of the ones that came into mind when you said get closer to your eye, one of the jokes we were telling was I couldn't figure out why the ball kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Then it hit me. So anyway, that has nothing to do with plants.
Hey, but okay, you mentioned that it was Jan in Brentwood, which is kind of the Bay Area, right? And then Daphne does not particularly do well here in Southern California.
Right.
So what kind of areas, Daphne? I mean, it's not going to grow in Arizona then, right?
No, they do like cool weather.
So it's more
But they
cool,
also
mild.
they really prefer well-draining soil.
Uh-huh.
Or in Jan's case, where you have a horse farm or pastures that have had horses in them, you've got a really good soil, and anything will grow.
Right?
Yeah. I'm not sure that's her entire property,
Yeah, she just lets her horses roam. her
but
entire-
but Jan does have more roses than I do,
yeah.
and
Wow.
and I believe most of hers are planted in the ground.
I'm just shaking my head.
You
Somebody
look
who has
amazed, Brian.
More roses than John
Yeah,
did.
right.
Uh-oh. Alicia says that she's been told that we know the answer to her question.
Uh-oh.
So her question is, she's been trying to start roses from cuttings. I've used rooting hormone, planted them in the soil, tried my Aero Garden, all with minimal success. What am I doing wrong? Or do you have any tips or tricks? These are the long-stemmed roses. Some of them are store-bought.
So she is trying to
Propagate.
She's trying to propagate
From cuttings.
from the stems that she's buying in the store.
Right.
Yes.
If you go to, I'm trying to think of Rose Chat on Facebook, the Rose Chat website. Beth from Northern California, her passion is rooting florist roses. As a matter of fact, she sent me, I think, 20 to 30 different varieties of florist roses that she rooted. And because she has so many, she's nice enough to send me some.
Share.
Yeah, and I share cuttings to her. But florist roses are a little more difficult to root. The main thing is to have bottom heat. The Aero Gardens don't don't do well from what I've seen for rooting roses. You know, if you have success with it, if you learn how to do something and it works, just keep doing it. But most of the people I know don't have success with the arrow gardens. So what I would do would be to get some seed starting mix. And if it doesn't have a lot of perlite in, put 50% perlite, 50% of the seed starting mix. And I recommend that because it's sterilized. And then put that in a 1-gallon container. Take your cuttings of the roses and make a vertical slit into the base of the rose.
Wow.
So, and that should be about anywhere from a half an inch to an inch long. And the reason is that when you open that stem up, roots will form in that area that's been open. But then do dip it in a rooting hormone. Knock the excess off the rooting hormone because too much rooting hormone will stop it from rooting.
Hinder, yeah.
Yeah, it'll inhibit roots. And anyway, then put those in the pot and water it once, and then take a 2-liter soda bottle, cut the bottom off, and put it over the cuttings that are sticking. It's like you've made a little greenhouse.
How
Yeah,
tall?
exactly.
How long do you want those cuttings to be?
You know, I would think anywhere from 6 to 10 inches.
And any node requirements?
You know, not so much, but if you
Because it's
can
tough
cut,
with those long stems to figure out.
Yeah, but if you do see, and a node is where a leaf was attached to the stem. Usually if you cut right below that, it's going to be better to have that part in the ground. Okay. So anyway, those are some of the tips. And then the best thing you could do would be if you could provide bottom heat. They have those heating mats that you can just set them on.
Yeah.
But anyway, once they're like that, you don't have to water very often because you've got your little greenhouse. You keep the cap off the top so you get some air in there.
And didn't you say it's also a little bit tricky too because you know you can think that you rooted something because that little rose cutting will begin to grow and even sometimes bloom,
right?
But it's not rooted,
yeah.
And then it just kind of croaks on you after that.
Yeah, it's black from the bottom up. But if you're not using bottom heat, it's going to take much longer during the winter to root.
Yeah. Great tips. But what was that garden chat or rose chat?
Rose chat.
Rose chat on Facebook.
Yeah.
Rose chat on Facebook.
Yeah, it's one of the groups on Facebook.
Where they
Rose
have a
chat.
few people that do that. If you're looking for a more if maybe you're looking for a more detailed explanation with some specific products in mind.
Well, Beth
there.
will post pictures every day practically on there, and you could message her and ask for some tips. But during the winter, she said it can take 3 months to root.
I have a who was it that asked that question?
Alicia.
That was Alicia.
Alicia. I'm wondering why she wants those particular roses.
What,
in
florist?
general. Yeah, because usually nowadays the florist roses are. I mean, they're pretty flowers a lot of time, but you know, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like there's other better roses out there. So maybe it's just the challenge, or is there something about those particular ones that she really likes?
Well, they're all long stems.
Yeah.
And I'm shocked because of the ones Beth has sent me how well they do in the ground.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the one thing you have to watch out about florist roses is sometimes they're mildew prone, but it just depends. The newer florist roses, even though they're all coming out of Colombia and Ecuador, are usually pretty hardy.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised at the number of blooms you get, and you always get a perfect exhibition florist bloom.
Yeah.
It is break time. We have 2 more segments coming up, so of course, stay with us. We always encourage you to stay with us here, Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live. Questions, comments, those on Facebook, keep them coming. A lot of good interaction and conversation happening this morning on Facebook Live. Back after these messages, this is Garden America. Back with your garden buddies, Brian Main, John Bagnesco, Tiger Palafox. It is Garden America. We appreciate you spending part of your weekend with us, helping you along the way, and in turn, you help us along the way. way. So it's a good trade-off, John.
You know, we were talking about rooting roses prior to the break, and Jan on Facebook brought up a good point too, Tiger. Florist roses grow great in the heat.
Oh, so if you live in an area that
So if you're in a hot area,
excessive heat.
yeah. And she's in the Bay Area, she's not going to have excessive heat, but during the summer, it can get really hot. And Beth, who I was just mentioning grows all these florist roses, lives in Los Molinos. And Los Molinos is really hot in the summer.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Cool.
I imagine they would probably do great in some areas of Arizona also.
Tucson.
Tucson, yeah.
Anyway, I've got a bunch now, and I'm going to be putting some in the ground in one whole area, maybe area that I'll put roses for cutting all in one area, and we'll see how they do.
Yeah. I'm going on not cutting my roses for like 4 years now. I have not.
Just letting them go?
Yeah.
Just like they're
That
growing in the
Chrysler
wild?
Imperial and then the orange juice. Nope, haven't cut them at all. They're just
Like
they're just
they
going.
would in the wild, right?
Yeah.
Leave them alone.
Well, some you don't cut. You know, Peggy Martin, you don't need to cut.
No.
It's doing well, right?
Just doing fine. Yeah.
But hybrid teas really do better if they are cut, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's just because of the way they grow. But if you don't want to prune roses, if you're like Tiger and you're lazy, or just otherwise preoccupied.
Coming from the most lazy rose grower ever.
Actually, that's not true. Tiger is one of the least lazy people I know, but he is very preoccupied. He's got all kinds of things, raising a family, working.
No, I'm lazy. It's fine. Definitely when it comes to pruning the roses.
Well,
Yeah.
what I was going to mention is there are roses that don't like to be pruned. And you can plant China roses or tea roses on your property if you're in frost-free or areas that don't get really hard freezes in the winter. And they hate being pruned, so you just let those go.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So you need some tea roses.
Perfect. Perfect for me to be able to just leave
Right.
them alone and go.
Now, you mentioned orange juice, which is, I believe, a hybrid tea.
Yeah.
Either that or a floribunda. And while I say most roses are better pruned, that one is kind of a weak grower, especially own root. So not pruning that one's probably a good idea.
Oh, yeah? I'm doing
Yeah.
something. Look at that. I knew.
Doing something
I was
right?
planning on that.
And you
I
didn't even know it.
I knew it was a weak grower, Brian. So it's perfect.
Jan mentions peace is another rose that doesn't like to be pruned.
Peas?
Yeah, which is probably one of the most famous roses of all time.
No. Iceberg.
Iceberg in Southern California, but peace worldwide
Yeah.
is
The most famous?
probably one of the most famous.
Really?
Yeah, not called peace in Europe, just in the United States, by the way.
What do they call it in Europe? Paz?
No, it depends on where you are. In Italy, it's called Gloria Dei,
Ah.
which means glory of God. And then in France, it's called, Jan will probably tell us.
Oh.
But I think it's maybe named after one of the Mayans. I'm
Where
not
did
sure.
it come from?
It came from Mayan originally.
So, okay.
Yeah,
That's
the
where it came
story behind the peace rose, which gets embellished a little bit, but the last diplomatic courier to leave France before it was invaded by Germany had cuttings of the peace rose that went to Conard Pile in Pennsylvania, and otherwise the rose would have been destroyed. I think it's Mrs. Anthony Mayan that they call it over there. But anyway, supposedly it was saved because of that. Conard Pile grew it in Pennsylvania. And after the war, I think at the UN table or something, there was that new rose was put on the desk of every member of the UN and christened peace. So a little story behind
There
it.
it goes.
Did we miss Carla's, was it Carla? Rooting hormone question?
No, that was the one we answered, right? Or was it a question about rooting hormone?
No, Carla said that she thinks the imposter's the same same way. But did we see her question about? No, I didn't see her question about rooting hormones.
Post it again. If we do miss your question, just post it again
Yeah, look it up.
as we scroll up and down as well.
Yeah, I'm going and looking for it. I saw that she mentioned the University of Hawaii, and Hilo has a great Bromelia display tiger. I don't see the rooting hormone. It's one I missed. Sorry, Carla. Let's see.
Got a question from Georgia, John.
From Georgia.
Which roses can be grown in pots? Thank you, from Georgia.
Oh, this is Georgia in the Caucasus. So the country of Georgia.
Mm-hmm. How about that?
Um,
Now we're talking our European friends.
yeah. Oh, we also had a Stom joining us from Pakistan earlier. Roses that do really good in pots are either miniature roses or mini floras. And if they're larger pots, you can use Floribunda roses. And if she's in Georgia, she probably has access to some of the older roses from Klemenko. Klemenko was a woman rose breeder from Russia in the 50s and 60s. And she put out some fabulous roses. It's really hard for us to get in the U.S., but they're really nice to get over there. But Marina, if you have access to any miniatures or mini floras, also the class of roses called polyanthas. Most of the polyanthas are smaller roses, and not all of them, but a lot are, and they would do really well in pots. So also, Marina, if you go to the website called Help Me Find Roses, there are any rose you can think of is there, and you can read about it, and you can read about the size that it gets and pick out some that might be available in your area.
And then Carla says a recommendation for a good one.
The rooting hormone.
Rooting hormone, yeah.
So, one of the things that I think, and because I was reading that too, is you probably recommend the powder rooting hormones over the gels, because if you're saying that sometimes the rooting hormone can inhibit the root growth,
well, that's
gel,
just the powder if you get too much on.
Well, but so can the gel inhibit too if you use too much?
I've never seen that problem with the gel.
Oh, okay.
Probably the best gel is one called Clonex, Clonex.
Mm-hmm.
But I use the powdered, I'm trying to think of what it's, Hormex. Hormex number 3, which you can buy online.
Mm-hmm.
But Hormex is the one that Jackson and Perkins used to use, and Dr. Keith Seri was the one who told me about it.
No more number 2. Number 3?
Number 3. Okay. There's some that are even stronger that other people have used, but that's the one Keith used, and that's the one that I've had the best success with.
Yeah. So, yeah, those you can buy online usually. I mean, garden centers will have like root tone and dip and grow usually, but they don't.
Dip and grow is okay.
They don't always have the other powders.
The professional ones,
yeah.
Right? Yeah, dip and grow is not bad. Dip and grow is also a good one.
Yeah.
Linda in Reading says that she neglected deadheading her miniature roses this year, and her puppy's been eating the rose hips.
That's so funny.
Loves them.
Oh,
they're
so
healthy,
funny.
full of vitamin C, right?
Exactly. They're good for it. It's good. I think it's just so funny that that's what the puppy found and enjoys.
Well, if it's a puppy, the miniature rose is going to be down to the size it can reach.
They can have some tartness to it. So it's funny that that's the choice, right? Because I think, we've talked about the rose hips before, and, there are some that people grow for edible rose hips, and they have great flavor to them, and they use them in teas and all kinds of different stuff.
Sweet hips is the one that has a good flavor.
Yeah. But most rose hips are kind of tart. So I don't know what plant these are growing on, but the puppy likes sour candies.
By the way, since we mentioned sweet hips,
Is that your name for Tiger now?
Exactly.
Well,
He looked
sweet
at me. He looked at me directly.
No,
We
no,
got a
no,
break
no.
coming up too. Do you want to hold it or you want to keep going?
I can't hold it. I was just going to quickly mention
Yeah.
Sweet Hips is a rugosa rose, and they're really hardy. And to our listeners at WILSAM in Lansing,
Yeah.
if you want a good hardy rose that's going to produce big edible hips, look for the rose called Sweet Hips.
And that's WILS, Lansing, Michigan, AM. Thank you, John, new affiliate. We're going to take a break. Back with our final segment after these messages on Biz Talk Radio. Right back with Garden America on Facebook Live and whatever device or radio station you're picking us up on. We do appreciate it. Remember, Alexa will play our show. If you have Alexa, just ask Alexa, play Garden America podcast, latest show or latest version. But you have to say Garden America podcast. She understands that.
People all over are hating you right now.
Hey, Alexa, did that go off?
Lenore, I think, got our rooting hormones mixed up because she wanted to know if Cormex is the root hormone. It's either Clonex or Hormex.
Yeah. So hormone or
Right.
clone.
Yeah.
Right. So it's CLONEX. That's Clonex. That's the liquid one. And Hormex, HORMEX, is the powdered one.
Hey, so in addition to some of the plants I brought in, I brought in this really neat display of the kokedama. How do you say this again now? Kokedama. For those of you that don't know what kokedama is, it's where you kind of use a moss ball to plant a plant, and then you wrap twine around it, and then you can hang them. And they're just kind of, wonderful ways to display plants. And a lot of times,
I've never seen that. That
It's
is
very cool,
awesome.
isn't it?
you've
I
never
know.
seen this in general?
No, well, I think we actually did a show on it one time.
Right.
But I've never seen it done as an ornament like that with the succulent in it. That's
Well,
a great idea.
I was going to say, one of the hardest things about kokedama is that usually you see this with houseplants or like an orchid. And, you watering them, I don't want to say it's difficult because all you do is soak this ball and then it's watered. But with a succulent, you can almost never have to water this
Do
again.
anything to that.
Like, I mean, what do you?
What's going to wear out
What do you
quicker,
think?
the
What do
ball
you
or
think,
the...
Brian? If you were to water this once, really soak it, you'd be almost like once a month.
Well,
Right?
that.
Yeah.
I'm like my question, what's going to last longer? The
string?
twine ball or the succulent?
Yeah. So,
If you
anyways.
hold it up, it looks like a pineapple.
Yes, it
yeah,
does.
like this way.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It does look like a pineapple, huh? You can have some fun shaping the moss ball if you wanted to
Yeah.
in the string. Yeah, we had a few of these at the nursery, and they're succulents. Then we also have the little houseplant ones with ferns and different things in there. But I was just thinking how wonderful for the person who maybe isn't a great gardener yet, but you want to get them a neat
Something,
little
right?
gift, and this would just last forever. This would be just amazing. So that's a good one.
That's a great idea. What else didn't we touch upon?
I think we hit on everything
Most
else.
everything, right?
We Cyclamen, the bromeliads, the ornamental kales, the begonia, the Christmas cactus. I think we hit it all. So
Marina
fun
sounds like she's got a great garden. She's got a summer house for her roses
Just
in
for her
Georgia.
roses?
Isn't that great,
Also, but I wanted to mention, she said that she had never heard of the breeder we were talking about, Klemenko, and I just wanted to mention that it's spelled KLIM, and she spelled it KLEM, just in case
You
she's
try to look
trying
it
to
up.
find it.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm just fascinated by women rose breeders, because especially back then, there were not a lot of women that were breeding roses, and the ones that did produced some phenomenal plants. Here we had a woman rose breeder right in our area. Do you know who it was?
In San Diego?
Yeah, she was actually in Chula Vista.
No.
Dee Bennett, who owned Tiny Petals Nursery.
Okay.
And she was originally from Australia, but she produced dozens and dozens of beautiful miniature roses. Matter of fact, a rose from every letter of the alphabet.
Really?
Yeah.
That was what she was going for?
Well, I don't know if that's what she was going for, but that's what she did. When she got to X, she couldn't think of anything, so she came up with X-rated.
That's what she named the rose, X-rated?
Rose is called
I would have called it
X-rated.
xylophone.
Yeah. That's what you always see in the alphabet for the X, right?
Right.
X-ray or
Xylophone.
xylophone.
X-ray.
There's no other X words.
Yeah. For Q, she had quiet time.
That's perfect.
Yeah. I really like Dee Bennett's Roses, and her mentor was Ralph Moore, the sometimes called the father of the miniature rose. And Ralph, most people would not share their breeding information. So all the big rose companies that had rose breeders that wouldn't give Dee Bennett the time of day, but Ralph Moore, anything she wanted to know, he shared with her. And he was a wonderful person. So we ended up with two great rose breeders.
Okay, we've got about 2 minutes until we have to say goodbye, farewell, adios.
No show next week.
No show next
no
week.
live
We
show
are off
next
1 week. We're back the week after.
right before the holiday.
Right.
We're going to have some fun.
Our Christmas show
Yeah, our Christmas
that
show.
we're working on right now.
You going to come in dressed up as Santa Claus?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be jingling and jangling.
How do you spell Kokedama?
Kodama.
Right, and that's a Japanese way of growing things in balls.
Kokedama.
Okay,
So add the E in
Kokedama.
there.
Kokedama.
Yeah.
That was the question.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a fun little thing to do, and it's fun. You can do it yourself pretty easily. So, a little fun little craft idea for you. For the
Carla,
holidays.
real quick, spelling again on Klimenko is Klimenko.
All right.
And if you go to Help Me Find Roses and search under breeders, you can see every rose that she ever produced. Also, her daughter became a rose breeder.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
And do you know her name
Klimenko.
also?
Yeah.
Are you going to get confused if you type it in there then? Got to figure out which one's which?
No, both will show up,
Uh-huh.
and you can press on one and then the other.
Ah. All
So you can read both of theirs. There's also a book about women rose breeders that was just written by a woman in Germany, but it's only in German. So you either have to use your phone to translate or know German.
Or you can see if you can find it on Audible, and they'll translate it for you and
Translate
just
it for
read
you.
it to you.
Do they?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
How do you do that? We
You're
don't
gonna
have time to
tune in
explain
in
it?
2 weeks and find out, John, because we have to go. Time is up, guys. That's it.
Boom.
Boom, just like that. Thank you so much for tuning in wherever you are in this great country, around the world, in Europe, and those that tune in from Australia, down under, down south, wherever you are. We appreciate it. This show, by the way, will be uploaded this afternoon on our YouTube channel, Garden America Radio Show. Please go to our website, gardenamerica.com. Check out Costa Rica. We'd love to have you along April 21st through the 29th. And that, of course, being in 2024. In the meantime, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you for tuning in. Have a safe week. I'm Brian Main. John Bagnasco, Tiger Palafox. This has been and always will be Garden America. Take care.